Hi, I'm Mike from 1A Auto. We've been selling auto parts for over 30 years. We're dedicated to delivering quality auto parts, expert customer service, fast and free shipping, all backed by our 100% satisfaction guarantee. So visit us at 1aauto.com, your trusted source for quality auto parts.
In this video, we're going to be working with our 2006 Chrysler 300 3.5 liter rear wheel drive. We're going to show you how to remove and replace the front disc brake backing plate, which is that dust shield that prevents dirt and debris from kicking up onto your rotors. If you like this video, please click subscribe. We have a ton more information on this and many other vehicles. And if you ever need parts for your car, you can follow the link down in the description over to 1aauto.com. Here are the items you'll need for this repair. Using a 21mm socket and a breaker bar, loosen all of your lug nuts about one turn. Raise and support your vehicle. We're using a lift to make it easier to show you what's going on, but this job can easily be done at home with a jack and jack stands. Remove your lug nuts the rest of the way by hand. Remove your wheel and tire. Remove the two 13mm bolts securing the caliper to the bracket. We'll do this using a 13mm socket and ratchet. Remove the caliper and using a bungee cord, zip tie, or mechanics wire, hang it up out of the way. Remove the pads. Remove the two 18mm caliper bracket bolts with an 18mm socket and ratchet. Be sure to crack both of these loose before removing either one fully. Remove the caliper carrier and remove the rotor. Using a small chisel and a small hammer, we'll tap in between the hub and this dust cover. Once you get it moving, just rotate it and work your way around until the dust cover comes off. Once you've got it moving, angle the chisel so it knocks it out. Using a 35mm socket and a breaker bar, and depending on the length of your breaker bar, you may also want to use a cheater pipe. Remove the center nut. Once you've got it cracked loose, you can remove the cheater pipe and finish removing the nut from the spindle. Remove the wheel hub and bearing from the vehicle. Now our backing plate's not that bad. However, one that's all rotted out, broken, or dented could drag against the back of the rotor and make some pretty awful noise. So to remove it, we'll remove these three 10mm bolts with a socket and ratchet. Once the bolts are out, remove the backing plate from the spindle. Install your new backing plate along with the three 10mm bolts. Get all of those started by hand to make sure that they are aligned properly, and tighten them down with your 10mm socket and ratchet. Install your new wheel bearing and hub assembly onto the spindle. Be sure to get it on there nice and even and straight and that it bottoms out completely. Install your 35mm nut. We'll use the socket and breaker bar for this since it has a nylon lock on the end of the threads. It's not going to be something we can install by hand. We'll then torque the nut to 184 foot-pounds. Install the dust shield. It helps to use a rubber hammer or a dead blow when installing these. If you don't have access to one, use a screwdriver and gently tap around the edges with a regular hammer. apply a thin coat of brake grease to the hub surface. Be sure to get the flat surface as well as the bore. This will prevent our rotor from getting frozen onto the hub. Install the rotor onto the hub. Now this next step isn't entirely necessary, but if you have access to an old axle nut or some other type of large spacer, you can put it over the wheel stud and tighten a lug nut down to it to keep the rotor straight while we install the rest of our components. Reinstall the caliper bracket and the two 18mm bolts, which we'll tighten down with our 18mm socket and ratchet, and then tighten to 70 foot-pounds. Install your brake pads into the caliper carrier and grease the back sides of the shims with a thin coat of brake grease. Remove the caliper from whatever you use to secure it, and using a pair of groove jaw pliers, slowly compress the caliper piston. Reinstall the caliper and the two 13mm bolts securing the caliper to the guide pins. Using your 13mm socket and a torque wrench, torque the caliper bolts to 44 foot-pounds. Remove the wheel lug as well as the axle nut if you use this method, and reinstall your wheel and tire. And get all 5 of your 21mm lug nuts on as tight as you can by hand. Lower the partial weight of your vehicle back onto the tires. Torque your lug nuts to 110 foot-pounds in a cross pattern.
Thanks for watching. Visit us at oneauto.com for quality auto parts, fast and free shipping, and the best customer service in the industry.